Mover Nation, it has been quite a week, and it has been quite a day here as well, because I've been sitting in a courtroom, literally, virtually, for the last 4 hours with nothing going on. But let me tell you, we were sitting on a courtroom all together earlier this week because there was the retrial of the retrial motion for Alec Murdaugh, which was denied by Justice Jean Toal, even as the hearing took a surprise twist. And then Vince McMahon has stepped down from TKO, now the parent company of the WWE, amidst a lawsuit making some very serious accusations of misconduct and mistreatment filed by a female employee. An absentee Mother of the Year candidate, Jennifer Crumbley's trial entered its 5th day today, with more shocking testimony of her behavior on that fateful day. I'm Collier Landry. Let's get into it.
Testimony continued today in the most notorious criminal trial in...
When I was 12 years old, my testimony sent my father to prison for murdering my mother. I decided at an early age that our trauma should not be what defines us. It's what we choose to do with it that does. I'm here to share my unique perspective on true crime, mental health, society, and popular culture, albeit with a slight sense of humor. I'm Collier Landry, and welcome to my show. Mover Nation, thank you all so much for being here. I greatly appreciate it. We are going to get into what I would like to refer to as our true crime biggest losers of the week. And I know we're only, we're not even really, we're halfway through the week, and we already have some big losers to go over. It has been I'll tell you, it has been quite an interesting week for all of you who are following the Murdaugh trial, because the saga of Alec Murdaugh is one that just keeps on giving. But alas, it is slowly coming to an end, it appears. We have a lot of stuff. Welcome to all my channel members, channel subscribers, Patreon supporters, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Thanks for making me a part of your day. This is, the show where you get my unique outlook and perspective on true crime, mental health, society, and popular culture, and albeit with a slight sense of humor. And I aim to please in this episode. So again, welcome all of you. Thank you so much. So many of you have asked my opinion on this Vince McMahon situation that's going on, and of course, this Jennifer Crumbley trial, which is, the more I get into it, the worse I feel. And as someone who was literally just sitting in child court earlier today to help some friends of mine to give some testimony, I thought, good parents versus bad parents. And the more I dive into this Jennifer Crumbley trial, the trial of these Crumbley people, I got to tell you, it's really heartbreaking. It's a really, really heartbreaking scenario. And I feel so bad for Ethan Crumbley, who is, going to spend the rest of his life in prison. Oh, man. But I want to go over the biggest losers of the week, people who I think, and my opinion on what went down with Murdaugh, what's been going on with Jennifer Crumbley, this Vince McMahon scandal, and just kind of weigh in on all of this. And of course, get you guys and your fabulous opinions and wonderful commentary as well in the chat below. Please, if you wouldn't mind, drop a super sticker. Please check out our channel sponsor, who we are going to get into right now. This video is sponsored by Aura, and here's a message for you right here. So hey movers, I want to tell you guys about today's video sponsor, and that's Aura. Now, Aura is not just another identity protection service. It's really like your all-in-one solution for safeguarding your digital life. They do the heavy lifting by scouring the internet to find and delete your publicly available information. There's no more chasing down websites or managing different services. Aura has it all in one secure platform. And you know what else? They offer credit monitoring. They keep an eye out on your credit, ensuring your phone number isn't being handed out to those annoying robocallers. They start sending you alerts and emails notifying you when someone is poking around in your personal information or when your phone number is being searched. And the best part is you get to decide what stays public and what gets deleted. I've tried all the various identity protection and credit monitoring services, but it's Aura's streamlined platform that sets it apart. It's user-friendly, it's customizable, and most importantly, it's secure because all of your information is stored in an encrypted vault under your control. And here's the cool part for you, my awesome audience. Aura is offering a 2-week free trial. Just click the link in my description below or visit aura.com/callyourlandry and take back control of your digital life today with Aura. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That helps keep the lights on here, and I appreciate you guys taking time out. Please, if you wouldn't mind, click the link below, sign up for the 14-day trial. It is an absolutely fabulous product. It has really helped me keep track of my digital life, taking me off all these lists, taking me off all these robocalls. It's been fantastic. All right, so we are going to get into a very interesting episode today. I want to go over, as I said, the Biggest Loser, and this is my custom Biggest Loser crime scene true crime edition logo. Let me know what you think of that. We do the custom, everything is done in house here. So this is my custom little graphic, of course, just to be cheeky. And thank you very much. Click it just for the AI or the free 2 weeks. Both help. Yes. Please link. Please subscribe if you can. Please like all the things. And thank you to my fabulous moderators who are here as well. Okay. So we had quite a week. We had all the cast of characters, awful people of the week so far in the true crime universe. So I am going to start with a little bit of a recap so far of not so great mother and parents of the year, absentee parents, just horrific. The Crumbleys. Bad parents or criminals. I did a live about them on Sunday a little bit. I'm just getting familiar with this case. You guys have reached out to me, asked me all kinds of stuff. Hey, can you check it out? Can you give us your opinion on this? What is your take? And boy, do I have some opinions. Thank you all so much. I'm glad you like the I'm glad you guys like the logo that I made. I'm very proud of it, if you can't tell. This trial, so for those of you that don't know, Jennifer Crumbley and her husband James Crumbley are the parents of Ethan Crumbley, who was the school mass casualty event creator of the school mass casualty event outside Detroit, Michigan on November 30th, 2022, 2023, 2021. Sorry. He was sentenced for the crime. He actually pled guilty, honestly. And everything that I'm finding out about this young man, he was 15 when the crime was committed. He's now 17, 18, 17. He pled guilty. He took 4 lives were lost that day. 7 people were injured. It's absolutely terrible. And this trial has posed a lot of questions regarding parental responsibility when a child, commits a violent crime, and are they responsible or not? But at first glance, when you kind of scratch the surface, you kind of think this is kind of absurd. And then you kind of dive deeper and you see the behavior of the parents. You see the fact that they had this particular firearm that he had used in the commission of the crime was one that they had purchased for him. It was a Christmas present. They had taken him to the range, and just the overall behavior of the parents was really tragic, because here's this kid who literally had no one in his life, and his closest friend was literally a kid who was in his life for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden just got yanked out of it. And it looks like he just didn't have any connection with his parents whatsoever. There is a whole list of text messages of him reaching out to his mother before the day of the crime, before that fateful day on November 30th. And it was just, it's really, really heartbreaking when you look at it. I'm going to pull up the timeline. Or maybe not. I am not going to do that. But the Crumbleys just were absentee parents. And today, but I'll back up and we'll go over what has happened in the actual courtroom. But just to sort of recap what what the timeline of the events was is James Crumbley, the father, purchased a 9mm pistol on Black Friday. His son Ethan had posted about the firearm on social media. His teacher had noticed him searching for ammunition online before the event happened. The school tried to contact Ethan's parents for about his behavior and received no response. Ethan's mother had texted him, seemingly aware of his distress. Ethan left a disturbing note at school. Parents were called to the school and shown the note that he had written, which showed him crying out for help. They did not find the firearm in his backpack because no one looked for it. And the parents refused to take him out of school. He returned to class. And then, of course, the mass casualty event happened. And Jennifer had texted her son later on that day after everything was done and said, please don't do it, blah, blah, blah. And this week, law enforcement today at trial, they showed the tape of her in the squad car and what her reaction was to it. So we're going to get into that. But to start, there was an affair that she was having as well. And as you start to scratch the surface of this whole thing, it's really, really sad. I had assumed because they had owned horses, because she was very into her horses, that there was more to this. And that they were a little more affluent than they were, but they were not. And they had a long history of neglect with their son, Ethan. And I believe Child Protective Services had been called before on them, but no one ever did anything. Which, look, as someone who grew up part of his life in the foster care system and seen kids in the system, that really, really sucks, because when the system isn't there for the children, the kids don't get a shot. Like, this poor kid didn't even have a shot from the word jump. And I understand you can't pick who your parents are, but parents can step up, the state can step up, and to see that, it's really heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. So ABC News is reporting, this is from the trial. This was yesterday. Officials found it strange that Michigan school event mass casualty event causer, his mother, didn't take him home over drawing. A Michigan school official told jurors that he had no grounds to search the backpack of a teenager before the boy killed 4 fellow students in 2021. Now, if I'm talking in sort of code, it's because the YouTube algorithm does not like discussing certain things, so I have to abbreviate things, and it's very annoying, but it is what it is. A Michigan school official told jurors Tuesday, that was yesterday, that he felt he had no grounds to search a teen's backpack before the boy fatally shot 4 fellow students, even though staff met with the teen's parents that morning to discuss a violent drawing that he had scrawled on a math assignment. Nick Ejak, who was in charge of discipline at Oxford High School, said he was concerned about Ethan Crumbley's mental health, but did not consider him a threat to others on November 30th, 2021, when this mass casualty event happened. After the meeting about the drawing, the teen's parents declined to take their son home. A few hours later, he pulled a 9mm firearm from his backpack and shot 11 people inside the school. Jennifer Crumbley, 45, is charged with involuntary manslaughter, and prosecutors say that she and her husband were grossly negligent and could have prevented the 4 deaths if they attended to their son's mental health. They are also accused of making the gun accessible at home. Apparently, one of the parts of testimony today was when the officers went into the home and found the gun safe, that the actual combination to it was 000. So really, just obviously very neglectful parents, not paying attention to what their child is doing, and also essentially arming their child in a way, if you will. That is a shot of Jennifer Crumbley in the courtroom of her own trial. And yes, we heard lots of testimony today. So much of Ejak's testimony focused on the meeting that morning, which included him, the parents, and the boy, and a counselor. The school requested the meeting after a teacher had found the drawing, which depicted a firearm and a bullet with the lines, "The thoughts won't stop. Help me. The world is dead. My life is useless." Ejak said he didn't have reasonable suspicion to search the teen's backpack such as nervous behavior or allegations of vaping or possessing a weapon. Quote, none of that was present, he told the jury, adding that the drawing also didn't violate the school's conduct code. Ethan said he found it, quote, or Ejac said he found it, quote, odd and strange that Jennifer and James Crumbley declined immediately to take their son home. He said, quote, my concern was he gets the help he needs, Ejac had said in his testimony. Making this case all the more, they are both charged with involuntary manslaughter, facing 15 years in prison. They've already been incarcerated for 2 years. And now they have, this just keeps looking worse and worse. And at first glance, you think, oh, well, how can they be blamed for this? And then you look at their behavior and not taking responsibility for their son, or even to put him in the proper care, or even give him the proper care. And this is what really breaks my heart about all this. Jennifer Crumbley worked in telemarketing or marketing for a real estate company. Her boss, Andrew Smith, testified that the business was, quote, very family friendly and family first, an apparent attempt by prosecutors to show that she didn't need to rush back to work after the morning meeting at the school. Smith said Jennifer Crumbley dashed out of the office when the news of the event broke. She sent him text messages she sent text messages to her boss declaring that her son, quote, must be the shooter. I need my job. Please don't judge me for what my son did, unquote. Smith claimed he was a little taken aback and he was surprised, and I was surprised she was worried about work. The jury saw police photos of the Crumbley home taken on the day of the event. Ethan's bedroom was messy with paper targets from a shooting range that were displayed on the wall. The small safe that held the Sig Sauer handgun was open and empty on his parents' bed. Ejac, the high school dean, said the parents didn't disclose that James Crumbley had purchased a firearm as a gift for Ethan just 4 days earlier. Ejac didn't know about the teen's hallucinations either in 2021. Quote, it would have completely changed the process that we followed. As an expert of their child, I heavily rely on the parents for information, he said, and he told the jury. Near the end of the day yesterday, prosecutors played a video of Jennifer Crumbley sitting in a police car after the event. She sobbed at times, expressed her disbelief about her son, saying, quote, he ruined his life, and then asked for cigarettes. And she said, quote, I don't get what happened. Her husband, James Crumbley, will stand trial in March. The couple are the first parents in the U.S. to be charged in a mass casualty event committed by a child, Ethan, who is now serving a life sentence. There is more. Because today it came out that the man who was a firefighter, who was a longtime friend of Jennifer Crumbley, he talked about their relationship that they were having. And there have been lots of assertions that there had been obviously these extramarital affairs that were going on. There is discussions of potential alcohol misuse and a misuse disorder that was going on in the household as well. So there's a lot. This poor kid, the more I read about it, the more I think, he just wasn't given a shot. Literally a fair shake at life. So ABC News is reporting that Brian Meloche, a longtime friend of Jennifer Crumbley and with whom she was having an affair with at the time of the 2021 Oxford school mass casualty event, took the stand to testify in her manslaughter trial today, Wednesday. In text sent soon after the event, Jennifer Crumbley told Meloche that the shooting, quote, could have been prevented according to evidence. In other texts, she told him the school was, quote, nonchalant about concerns surrounding Ethan Crumbley, and said that the school should have taken the concerns seriously and not allowed him to return to class. However, she didn't take him out of school. Jennifer Crumbley and James Crumbley are each facing 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter in connection with the school shooting, which was carried out by their 15-year-old son, and James Crumbley is being tried in a separate trial. This is just in the article. Ethan Crumbley has been sentenced to life in prison without parole for the murder of the 4 students. After Jennifer Crumbley's attorney, Shannon Smith, who a lot of people have a lot of resignations about, Meloche questioned Meloche, suggesting that police intimidated and threatened him into providing his testimony. Prosecutors sought to allow the judge to include evidence that the two had an affair. In a previous ruling, Judge Cheryl Matthews excluded all evidence regarding their extramarital affair. The jury was excused from the room, and Matthews spoke directly to Jennifer Crumbley, who said she supported her attorney's decision to admit evidence about the affair into evidence. Meloche, a fire department captain, initially appeared to testify that police interviewing him threatened his job and benefits, including his pension, if he helped Jennifer Crumbley by refusing to share information. However, he later clarified that he was pressured by police to share information about the Crumbleys, but was always told to tell the truth. Meloche admitted on the stand that he did not want his affair to be revealed and had sought to protect his family and wife by withholding information. Meloche testified on Wednesday that Jennifer Crumbley had told him she was able to leave work to meet up with him, even though she allegedly told school officials on the day of the shooting that she could not take her son home for mental health care that day because she needed, quote, to return to work. But she did tell him that she was able to go meet her lover. Jennifer and James Crumbley decided to send their son back to class despite a meeting in the morning of the shooting, which the school officials had expressed concerns about him. Andrew Smith, the CEO of the real estate company where Jennifer Crumbley worked at the time of the shooting, testified on Tuesday that she would have been allowed to leave for the day if she had needed to take care of their son because it was a family-friendly work environment. Meloche also testified about conversations he had with Crumbley in the days leading up to and after the mass casualty event. The two texted regularly leading up to the event and in the days after it. Meloche said he regularly deleted messages between himself and Jennifer Crumbley. He testifies that one of those deleted texts from her sent on the day of the event said the gun was gone. He responded telling her to contact police. Meloche told Crumbley in text before she was arrested that she, quote, needed to disappear when she was allowed to do so. Prior to the event, Meloche had said he was aware that the Crumbleys had gotten a handgun for their son and said that he was surprised that they chose to do so. Meloche had also testified that he did not believe Jennifer Crumbley should have been charged, but has since learned some information that makes him believe otherwise. Meloche testified that he didn't think a shooting would actually take place. He thought more so that Ethan Crumbley would hurt himself. Evidence was shown in court of text messages also showed an unsent message from Jennifer Crumbley to Meloche in which she told him that the firearm was locked with a string lock. Quote, I'll never be okay. I lost my son and he's a murderer and I'll forever have to live with the guilt of that. I'm not even sure life is worth living anymore, unquote. Crumbley said it in another text message that was never sent. Again, all these trials, all these text messages, all these things, people think the phone, if you just delete it, it goes away. If it leaves your phone, goes somewhere, they can track it down. It's unbelievable to me that some people just think that, we saw this in the Murdaugh trial. We see this with Becky Hill. We've seen this with all these other trials of these people sending messages in these events that then come into evidence later on. You have Brian Koberger who turns off his phone, then is accused of committing an act of violence, and then comes back and then turns the phone back on and just thinks that, oh, nobody's going to know where to track me. It's unbelievable. These things they track our lives. I kid you not. Meloche testified that the two normally met in the parking lot of a Costco across the street from her job during the morning hours of work days when Ethan Crumbley was at school. He testified that he never felt that Jennifer Crumbley did not care about her son. He stopped communicating with Jennifer Crumbley when he saw on the news that police were trying to apprehend her and her husband, Meloche testified. The last the two communicated was December 4th, 2021, which I believe was the same day that they were both arrested as well. And they have been incarcerated or in jail ever since. Lieutenant Sam Marsban, a Oakland County detective, also testified that Jennifer Crumbley did not want to hand over her phone to police and was concerned about being able to contact people while police were conducting a search. Marsban also testified that he told Crumbley she could get a replacement phone and asked that she share the number with police. Marsban said Jennifer Crumbley seemed irritated and frustrated, but was not crying while police searched their house just hours after the event. The prosecution said it expects to call 2 more witnesses Thursday morning, tomorrow, before they arrest. The defense is expected to begin presenting its case in the afternoon. Jennifer Crumbley, what do we think? Is she this week's true crime biggest loser? Well, her trial's not done, so we'll see. There is hope for her yet, but I don't know. Next is Vince McMahon, who is the former head of WWE Entertainment, the WWF, World Wrestling Foundation. I mean, I grew up with watching WWF and Vince McMahon, and he was a regular character on Sunday morning cartoons and Sunday morning or Saturday morning SmackDown, I believe. I used to watch it. I can't even remember what it was, but it was like Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper, who, fun fact, I was the last person to film with Roddy Piper while he was alive. I was the last person to film him alive. Not a fun fact. He was a really nice guy. Wonderful guy. But I grew up, I watched wrestling. It was super fun. And so I've known, of Vince McMahon since I was literally a kid. So I had never known that he had this sort of penchant for treating women and employees this way, but apparently he has a very long history of this. It has come out that he has paid out over $14 million in hush money alone over the years to various female employees. However, one female employee, thank you so much for the super sticker, Cat Loves Catskills. However, it has come out that one employee just said, nah, this is where it is. This is where it ends. And, most of the time when these lawsuits are filed, the plaintiff will disguise himself as a Jane Doe, especially in harassment suits and anything of this nature. And what happened is she said, no, I'm putting my name out there because others will come forward. She wanted to show that is in a move to show solidarity with other victims of McMahon. And she's also sued John Laurinaitis, who was also the former head of talent and talent relations at the WWE. So in a lawsuit, Janel Grant accuses WWE founder Vince McMahon of, quote, sharing sexually explicit photos and videos of her with other wrestlers. She also alleges that he recruited men to have a threesome at WWE headquarters even during working hours, while referring to her as his, quote, porn star. Grant worked at the WWE in Connecticut for 3 years. She alleges McMahon attempted to, quote, traffic her to a WWE star who's coming into New York City for a live TV event. McMahon denies all of the allegations. The lawsuit implicates the organization's former head of talent, talent relations, John Laurinaitis, who is a stepdad of these two twins. And we're going to get into this article that is on page 6. This is Nikki and Brie Garcia. But she also went on to allege that in her filing that McMahon once defecated on her head during a threesome in May of 2020. And he also, of course, denies those allegations. Now, just this last week, WWE's parent company went public on the New York Stock Exchange, and McMahon was right there with The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who I really like, but they were right there. They're together in the New York Stock Exchange to ring in the bell
about the shocking sex abuse lawsuit being
on Inside Edition. And there they are.
Just this week, McMahon, along with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange to celebrate The Rock joining the board of WWE's new parent company, TKO.
And there's McMahon, and he does not look like the dude here. He has definitely aged quite a bit. And I mean, look at the guy's 78 and, a far cry from what he used to look like. But I guess when you're doing all kinds of nefarious things behind people's backs and paying hush money, this is what you get. This is the lawsuit. And I mean, this is crazy stuff. And how disappointing. I mean, I didn't know. Again, you don't know any of this growing up, and not that he was a hero of mine, but this guy was larger than life. He's written a lot of books. I've seen him at my gym that I work out at before, like years ago. Like, he's been around. He's been a big celebrity in the world of entertainment. So, to kind of see people just like, what a fall from grace. And I honestly don't believe he'll ever be able to recover from this. Page 6 is reporting. So Nikki and Brie Garcia, who are the stepdaughters of John Laurinaitis, claim that it's been a lot for them to process. Nikki and Brie Garcia have released a vague statement amid the SA and other claims against WWE founder Vince McMahon and the organization's former head of talent relations, John Laurinaitis, who is their stepdad. Quote, "We are shocked and disheartened with the recent allegations against members of the WWE," the twins and retired wrestlers wrote on a joint Instagram post on Monday. "It has been a lot to process since we found out this past week, just as you all did." They continue, "This is something we don't stand for or condone from anyone, no matter who they are." They concluded, "We want all women to feel safe and supported in the workplace and in their everyday lives." Obviously, yes. And, it's really a shame when people get roped into the shenanigans of their parents, even if it is just, even if it is a step parent, because now, they have to issue statements. It's just messy. It's really unfortunate. And to have these young women to have to give a statement, and to even as young women to hear these horrific allegations in this 67-page lawsuit come out, and because the woman who this Janel Janel I lost her name, Janel Grant, coming out and putting her name on this lawsuit shows that she's got nothing to hide. So of course they want to stand by other women and they want to feel safe and what they're doing. And of course they probably have children. They, probably want to have children. They probably have daughters, or they have friends that have kids that look up to them. It's just a mess. The whole thing is just, it's just very unfortunate. And, a fall from grace that I don't think that, that Vince McMahon will ever recover from. He's now 78 years old. It's a lot, but he has resigned, and that's where we were at. So, the big news of the week, if you guys were with me on Monday all day, an all-day main event, was the retrial hearing of Alec Murdaugh, or I like to refer to it, Murdaugh. The Murdaugh took place in Colleton County, in Columbia, South Carolina. Justice Jean Toal presiding over this particular hearing of the retrial hearing of Alec Murdaugh. And as the day started, it started very early. I'm here in Los Angeles. I was up at 6 a.m. with you guys, and I thought for sure it would be over by 9 a.m. my time, which would be 12 noon Eastern, because previously Justice Jean Toal had pretty much said that she was not going to really entertain much of what the defense wanted to bring out. And these alternate jurors they wanted to question, and this case that they were making against Becky Hill, who is the Colleton County clerk of courts, who was the clerk of court for Murdaugh's trial. And they were saying that she was lying about a lot of the stuff, and had a lot of misconduct, had been tampering with the jury, which was at the crux of their argument, because she had written good old Becky Hill had written my favorite thing, a book, Behind the Doors of Justice. Fun fact, her co-author, Neil Gordon, has reached out and would like to be on the show. He's going to come out. I'm going to have him on the show. It'll be a fun episode because, look, I mean, I think he was pretty much bamboozled as well. Kind of, he got himself into some hot water, but we'll have him on. We'll talk. It'll be all good. I'm excited. I hope he does it. It'll be great. But murder debacle, all really caused by this, really the defense using this. And I want to play some snippets from Rebecca Hill's testimony. And I'll pull this up for you guys. So we're going to get into when, Creighton Waters.
During the course of the trial itself.
No, not during the course of the trial.
After the verdict had been reached and the case was in sentencing, did you have any conversation with any jurors at that time, after they had already entered their verdict and been individually polled?
Yes, after the sentencing.
All right, and tell the court what that interaction was at that time.
So her alleged, all of these allegations of misconduct, she had claimed, I didn't have any contact with the jurors before. I never spoke to any of the jurors. I never brought anything up to them. I never spoke about Murdaugh. It was suggested that she had made comments of watch his body language. He's guilty. Don't let his attorneys fool you. And she had said, no, I never had any inappropriate conversations. And even saying that she had never given jurors a ride or never had inappropriate relationships with any of these jurors, meaning that she had any interactions with them outside of her duties as the clerk of court, not a physical relationship, but didn't drive them in the car, didn't take them places. And it came out as they later put up after her testimony, Justice Jean Toal starts asking her questions because she was originally not going to allow the defense to talk to her, and they decided to allow them to question her. And here is Dick
I've read your book, some editions of your book. There's several. We got a bunch of emails in which you have drafts that you forwarded to your co-author, correct?
Correct.
Objection. I believe I would object to relevance.
So essentially, Fitz News, the good people over at Fitz News, Wolf Folks and his team doing a lot of work on this case and on the Murdaugh and corruption in the Palmetto State, which apparently runs rampant down there, by the way. He had filed a FOIA request and received 2,100 pages of Rebecca Hill's emails back and forth while her time at Colleton County Clerk of Courts during the Murdaugh trial, and interactions that she had had with the BBC and other people, and her co-author Neil Gordon, and including an email which she used to then plagiarize the preface of this book, which she wrote. And yesterday on Surviving the Survivor, Neil Gordon had said, quote, that he looked at the preface when he read the preface of the book that she had written when she sent him the draft and said, wow, this is really well written. How did you find time to write all this? And she said, oh, I just kind of made time for it, which he kind of, in his mind, looking back now, hindsight being 2020, he had thought, it might have been a red flag. And again, let me be very clear. Again, even though what happened with Becky Hill and all of these shenanigans, I think is absolutely reprehensible for a clerk of court, let us not forget that the entire reason that we are in this is because that man in the orange jumpsuit, Alec Murdaugh, if he hadn't committed the crime that he was sentenced for, the murder of his son and wife, Maggie and Paul, and the corruption and the financial crimes to which he pled guilty for, which he is still serving 27 years for. No matter what, if he had gotten a retrial, it wouldn't have mattered. Even if they had thrown out the verdict, it wasn't like he was going to walk away from prison. He's still serving 27 years for these financial crimes, and he still has many pending charges, federal cases, etc. He's not going anywhere, which is what makes this all the more unfortunate.
I believe
So Becky Hill becomes a little bit prevaricative. Her tone was definitely a lot different with Dick Harpootlian, who is Murdaugh's attorney, and very friendly with Creighton Waters, who obviously, Creighton Waters and his team, I
Which
feel,
you
did a
tried to
fantastic
influence.
job in their prosecution. And again, they were facing a defense that had no defense other than saying our client didn't do this, but never offered up another suspect. Not even in the case of in my father's case was very similar. This is, there was no other suspect. He never said, oh, well, this person did it. My father's defense never offered up another suspect either. So it's a little fanciful when they're trying to say, well, someone else did it, but okay, well, who did it? Where I know there are a lot of things that people find questioning regarding this trial. The murder weapon was missing. The timeline is a little sketchy at times, but again, in the defense, if they don't ever offer up an alibi for their accused defendant, or say, here's the alternative theory, here's what we have, here's other evidence that we want to bring, this did not happen because this happened. But they never did that in the trial because, well, I mean, I think that a lot of us feel that there are other forces at work, because the corruption seems to really run deep in the Palmetto State. So it then goes to Justice Jean Toal, who then begins to ask Becky some questions.
I did not, Your Honor.
Well, she says in this testimony that she didn't know about the Facebook until Miss Becky told me. Was that incorrect?
I'm not saying...
Some kind of conversation went between the two of her for her to know about that post, correct?
That's true. And I'm thinking that it could have been someone, it wasn't me. I just know that it's not me that she talked to about that.
Well, when the judge, the judge was questioning the juror about this, she also said that she had 3 restraining orders against him.
So this is a line of questioning about a juror's potential ex-husband, and Becky Hill saying that she had no contact with her, no discussion of Facebooking posts. There's a lot of Facebook and Facebook group things that go on in this.
And so you think that you're aware of the fact that some of these on the scene photographs of the 2 decedents found their way into the public press. You're aware of that, are you not?
Yes, ma'am, I am, yes.
And you contend that they photographed them in the courtroom?
That is what I heard.
So again, Becky Hill, I think that the thing that frustrates her, she has a lot of supporters. And again, look, I'm only chastising her in a way, or roasting her in a way, because what she did is so solipsistic and so just stupid. Because to be honest with you, the whole reason that they're even here in this courtroom is because of her. Because of her, because of what she did, and because of her improper contact with the jurors. And that is why Murdaugh's attorneys are claiming that they can have this retrial, because of this improper conduct and citing all this case law, which Judge Jean Toal said she's not going to listen to anyways. She's going to reflect different case law. But that gets into a whole other thing. But let's get into her decision and what she says at the end about Becky Hill in her findings for Alec Murdaugh.
The state of South Carolina against Richard Alexander Murdaugh. 2022 GS 15-00592, 593, 594, and 595. After proposed formal orders are received from each side in this matter. This case is unique in my 20 years of experience as a lawyer and my 35 years of experience as an active justice of the Supreme Court and a senior active trial and appellate judge.
She had never seen anything quite like this nonsense, this murder debacle.
denies this motion on the grounds I have recited, a new trial in a very lengthy trial such as twice, and said on her oath before me,
So this is her finding credibility.
examined on her previous affidavit, in which she said the effect, if any, that she had was pressure she felt from other jurors. The cases are myriad that pressure from fellow jurors is a part of the normal give and take of jury deliberations. The court is not to inquire in any way about what is said in those deliberations. But the juror was somewhat ambivalent, said on her oath at the time of trial twice, and said on her oath before me in these proceedings that she stood to her oath. The clerk of court allowed public attention of the moment to overcome her duty. I have read the entire transcript of this lengthy trial, not an easy task. I have studied in detail all of the authorities cited. I have independently researched the case law, learned treatises, and scholarly articles on the subject. Although there is certainly a split in the federal circuits and in the states on the standard of review, I simply do not believe that the authority of our South Carolina Supreme Court requires a new trial in a very lengthy trial such as this on the strength of some fleeting and foolish comments by a publicity-influenced clerk of court. This is a matter within the discretion of the trial judge, and I am the trial judge at this moment. I do not feel that I abuse my discretion when I find the defendant's motion for a new trial on the factual record before me must be denied, and it is so ordered. Record.
No. A lot of have I been just talking without any sound? Oh my goodness. Let me read this back. Oh my God. How long has this been going on? Oh goodness. Sorry, guys. It's always something with these lives, right? It's always something. I am now not muted. Look, Alec Murdaugh gets to go back to his cell. And Alec Murdaugh is a very, very, very high commodity, a very sought after commodity in prison. He is someone who is a lawyer, and just like my father, who is incarcerated, who is a doctor, people of that status who have that level of education are able to help the prison population in general. They are able to help the other prisoners because everyone in prison. There are very few guilty men in prison, as they say. They are either filing appeals. They are filing. They are looking to get less time off their sentence. They are always in that law library reading. Somebody like Alec Murdaugh literally is a very valuable commodity to the rest of the prison population. And as far as Becky Hill and her just complete impeachment of herself, her complete perjury of her words on the witness stand, which were refuted, which were when they brought up her fellow county clerk of court, Rhonda McElveen, to sort of rebut a lot of Becky's testimony. Again, she just looks foolish. And as the judge says, Judge Toal says at the end of the hearing, she said that she was seduced by the siren song of celebrity, and she wasn't going to let that end up affecting the actual good work that the jurors had done in this case against Alexander Murdaugh. Again, Alec Murdaugh will be fine in prison. Becky Hill has to go back and live her life as the Colleton County clerk of courts. And she has to go back to that county, that small town of Walterboro, where she's been for years and decades. She grew up her whole life there. And she is someone who now has to face down the public who she abused their trust. Let's just, let's not mince words. She abused their trust, and she, she has left the Palmetto State in quite a state. All of this because the justice system is now in question in the Palmetto State. And many people have been alluding to corruption that has gone on in the state of South Carolina for decades. And a friend of mine who is a well-known attorney and a literal publicity-seeking attorney who would go to the opening of an envelope said to me, "Collier, it is well known in the United States that the state of South Carolina and their judicial system and the way that things are done there is the corruption is so rampant. And people have been talking about this in their state and trying to change things. People like Will Folks over at Fitz News have been reporting on this, trying to get someone to pick it up. There is alleged corruption involving who allowed people just like Alexander Murdaugh to operate, to be able to pull off these financial scams, bankers, everyone. He didn't just act alone. His law firm, everyone being defrauded. And it has been alleged that, that this corruption has been going on for decades. So that brings me to who is this week's true crime biggest loser? Well, it might not be who you think it is. It is indeed the Palmetto State. Because again, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it if it wasn't for all that went on, if it wasn't for the behavior of Becky Hill and this, solipsistic pursuit of fame. This book, it has caused, here I am, some guy in California talking about this case, making videos about it, discussing about it, talking with you guys, my audience, about it. And this entire scenario has just made the state, which is a beautiful state, a wonderful state. Go Gamecocks, right? I had a Gamecocks hat when I was in high school for other reasons, but not that I knew the team. But the thing is that now we look back and we just go, what is going on there? And to be honest with you, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing that we began to question the actions of our elected officials, of the people in power, the people that control the judiciary, and the people who allow things and allow people like Alec Murdaugh to take advantage of the public trust for decades. Food for thought on a Wednesday in Los Angeles. I want to say thank you so much to all my channel members, my channel subscribers. Mover Nation, thank you so much. I'm sorry about the sound glitch. I was just on a roll, but I want to thank you all so much for your support, for tuning in, for joining in the discussion in the chat. I want to see what you guys are saying in the chat, by the way. What's going on? Thank you all so much for your support. Please remember to check out our sponsor, Aura. You get a free 14-day trial. Check them out. Fabulous company. I'm really happy that they've chosen to be a sponsor of this channel and this video. Thank you so much to Aura. And thank you so much to all my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, it wouldn't be possible. And all my channel members, without your support, it wouldn't be possible. But everyone who has been here, who continues to show up for these lives, who continues to watch my videos, thank you so much for everything and for showing up here and being a part of our community. Our moderators, my associate producer, Court McNeil, thank you so much for all the hard work you've done. The reason why these programs keep getting better is because of people like her, people like you guys in this audience, my moderators, all coming out and participating and helping me elevate the show, because it is a one-man band sitting right here if you haven't figured it out. And I'm looking forward to onward, upward, and making this just a great success. And all of you are along for the ride. So thank you all so much for all of this. I greatly appreciate it. On that note, Mover Nation, we get through another one. I'm Collier Landry. I'll see you on the next one.
This podcast is made possible by support from listeners just like you. For exclusive content around this podcast, please consider supporting me via Patreon by going to collierlandry.com/support. Please subscribe via Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts from, and please leave us a 5-star review. If you want to see video episodes of this podcast, please check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/collierlandry. You can find links to additional resources in the show notes of today's episode. This podcast is a production of Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Collier Landry.